Welcome to the OhioRAAM Show.
Well, hello everybody. This is Jim Lawyer here, and you're watching the OhioRAAM Show, a show about UltraCycling and all things cycling. Hey Lee, how are you tonight?
Hey, I'm pretty good. Cooled off here in Ohio.
Definitely.
And it is very fall-like, so we decided to put a fall background up there. And by the way, Jim, we should point out to people who don't know this, those in our background there, those light brown nuts. You see one right there below you.
Yep, right.
And there's one right up above me there a little bit. Mm-hmm. Those are Buckeyes.
Definitely.
And, Ohio is the Buckeye state, but it's one of those trees that's sadly disappearing too, Jim.
Yes, I know.
Oh, well, and speaking of Ohio, we are here because there are so many good people who operate the time stations here in Ohio. Time station 41 in Oxford, 42 in Blanchester, and 43 in Chillicothe, Ohio.
Woo-hoo!
And Jim put those overlays up there so I wouldn't forget.
You never forget.
I sometimes don't remember.
No.
So, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Have we got some news?
Yeah, we've got a little bit of news tonight. I'll make it quick so we can get to our special guest. But we'll do the RAM update first. For 2022, we did have a little bit of a change this week. 2 persons stayed the same at 3, 4 persons 9, 8 persons 5. Solo jumped to 39, 4 new ones, and 1 additional country. So it's going to be an awesome race. We keep getting people, so it'll be great.
Yeah, got 1 more country in there. That's
yes. Good. As far as in the news, Christoph Strasser released a new short video about his 1 day and 1,000K 24-hour road record. It's a great little video. The link to the movie is there on YouTube, and it's the English version for all of us here in the States. And we'll also have the link in the show notes also. They will be doing a virtual 3 and 6 hour world time trial again this year. It'll be on Full Gas platform. A lot of people have already signed up. Actually, it starts tomorrow, but I know a lot of people are interested. It'll be a fun little time. We're going to do it and follow it and cover it for our show.
Great.
Upcoming shows, the next one is Carolyn Hansen and Paige Redman. Then the 21st, we'll have Kurt Matzler. And 28th, it's going to be a best of show for Thanksgiving. And then 5th will be with Lionel Poggio. I think I got that right this time.
Well, we'll figure that out.
There you go.
We got a couple more scheduled since then, but we don't have them up on that.
Up on the screen, correct.
And go ahead.
We asked last time on our show, the trivia question was, how many time stations are there on RAM? Either 54 time stations, or if you include the start, there's 55.
So, yeah.
This week, we're asking what is the fastest solo time for RAM? What year did it happen, and who was it? Go ahead and post your answers in the comments. Again, hashtag ORSTA 1107. And Lee, that's all I've got for the news today.
That's all you've got? Well, there's one other thing I want to mention is the Deccan Cliffhanger coming up in India. That's next week in a RAM qualifier.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And we want to make sure that you put your comments in either Facebook or YouTube, because everybody that comments gets their name put in the hopper for a drawing. And this week, we're going to give away one of our RAM
T-shirts.
OhioRAAM Show T-shirts.
Yes.
People are clamoring. They're searching all over the internet to get
for those. Definitely. We need a little swag store started for us.
I guess so. I mean, so many people want these T-shirts.
Yep.
But so far, the only way you can get one is to come on here and when we're giving one away and put a comment in here. So give
Exactly.
us your comments.
There you go.
And we are getting some.
Yes, we'll give a shout out to Doug. Hey, Doug.
Yeah.
And also the voice of the OhioRAAM Show, Gregory's on.
Yeah, I just talked to him via text this week. He's going to do some work for us for the holidays, he said.
Mm-hmm. That'd be awesome.
Tell him what kind of work we want done. So, Jim, I think, let's see. We got tell people how to follow us.
Let me get to that little one. Basically, we are on all the social media platforms, but the ones we're streaming to primarily are Facebook, which you just go to our site, the OhioRAAM Show, and click on that follow button. And if you want to watch us on YouTube, go to the OhioRAAM Show and click on subscribe.
And do that, please do that for us, because that increases our exposure. And more people see us, the more people that subscribe, the more people who will see us. Because Jim and I have such ego problems, we need to be seen.
That's right, definitely.
But
you know me, I didn't even want to be on camera, so.
Actually, the more people see us, the more people who learn about the sport of ultracycling.
Exactly.
And some people, we have had people stumble onto us and get interested. So we're happy to have that. So, hey, get those comments in here. Tell us where you're at. If you don't know what else to say.
Just say hi and your city and state or country, whatever.
And if you want to be in the contest but don't want to appear on screen down here, just say, don't show my name. We won't put it up there, but you'll still get in the contest.
There you go.
If you win, you'll get your name shown, though. I'll tell you that. Okay. Hey, let's talk about next week while we're doing that. Let's find that. I found it.
You got it? Okay.
Next week, we're going to have the second and third place women at the World Time Trial Champs. Carolyn Hansen, who was second from Denmark, and Paige Redmond, who is from Arizona, I think, Jim, who was third place. Why not first place? Well, we've had Christy Tracy on again and again, and she'll be on again sometime. And we wanted to highlight these two people who are new to us here, maybe not new to you people
definitely.
in the ultracycling world. So I think that takes care of our business, doesn't it?
Yes, I think so. I think now is the time to bring our great guest on.
You go ahead and bring him on while I introduce Phil Fox in Chicago, Illinois. Are you in Chicago tonight, Phil?
I am. I am in Chicago.
Awesome.
Okay. The Windy City. Although I have to say, if you ever lived in Findlay, Ohio, you don't know what real wind is.
Exactly. Been there, done that.
Phil, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, and a lot of people on here to talk with you. We want to talk about your cycling. We want to talk about your involvement in multiple sclerosis. We'll get to all that, so hang around, folks, to hear this discussion. Phil, tell us a little about yourself, how you got into cycling, how you got into ultracycling.
Sure. So I mean, like many, I biked as a youth, and got a car and kind of got away from it and rediscovered it later on in adulthood. I was working in Chicago and didn't necessarily like public transportation, so I would commute on my bike. And those 3 or 4 miles became 10 miles, became 15 miles. One thing led to another, and over the past 10 years, every year is kind of a little bit progressively more difficult, a little bit more challenging. And now I'm proud to call myself an ultracyclist.
Awesome.
I think you did. Now, you have a lot of things. Somewhere here I lost my sheet of paper, Jim. and all the things you've accomplished. But the thing that I was most interested in I wanted to talk about, Jim, you probably got some things, is your world UltraCycling record established the course for circumnavigating Lake Michigan, which I think was this year, was it?
Yeah, that was earlier this year in June.
How
The
many
original
miles?
plan,
How many miles and how long did it take you?
920 miles to get all the way around the lake. And we completed that in 64 hours and some change.
Awesome.
So your start and end point was Chicago, somewhere in Chicago.
Correct. I can look out my window and see Buckingham Fountain. But yeah, we left on Thursday at noon with some TV cameras from the local press. And we're able to return by dawn on Father's Day for a very special Father's Day.
That is awesome.
Great.
So the original plan was to do the race across the West. I mean, obviously the year before was canceled with COVID. That year I did the virtual race across the West and, was able to podium that.
Yep, second place, I think.
Took second.
Yes,
Simon Potter took first. So, we had a deferred entry into Raw, but, my crew somewhere in Canada, unable to get vaccinated. We weren't sure how the border was going to work. Didn't really want to do the race without the crew as we intended. So we deferred that entry again to what will now be our RAM entry in 2022. And, we kept things local and we're able to play it safe. The next best option we thought was to take Lake Michigan, coming from Chicago. And, I feel like that is the record to have in the Midwest. So, we announced that a couple months before. We were able to raise money for Bike MS. That was our principal charity for that WUCA record. It worked out really well, again, 64 hours just a few months ago.
Great job.
Now, you had, seems to me, some route challenges involving a good bit of urban riding.
Yeah, that's certainly true. I mean, obviously, we have Chicago, which I know how to get in and out of very well. But you have to go through Chicago. You have to go through Milwaukee. That actually probably had the most traffic. Everything else, after those two cities, we were going through a really odd hours, odd times. So we went through Green Bay in the dead of night. We went through Gary, Indiana, I think around 3 in the morning that Sunday morning. But with a WUCA record, you're kind of incentivized to take the direct route. So probably not the way you would take it on a recreational bikepacking tour for Lake Michigan. But yeah, we got it down to 920 miles and we were able to knock that out as quickly as we did.
And
now, was this kind of, sorry, Lee, go ahead.
I'm going to ask one more question about that challenge. You had a crew with you, did you not?
We did. We had 2 vehicles and 5 people.
So you had a crew to take you across the Big Mac, correct?
Yes. So that was the only time I was not on the bike. So the Mackinac Bridge is what connects the Upper Peninsula of Michigan to the Lower Peninsula or the Mitten for those in the know or local to the Midwest. But yeah, I want to say that was the longest suspension bridge for a long time when it was built. And it was funny talking with Lon Haldeman. He's like, Phil, I think you should bike across that bridge. I'm like, I don't think that's allowed. He's like, well, then you should carry your bike across that bridge. I'm like, I can guarantee you that is not allowed either. So,
well, we'll give you that, and I think WUCA will as well. And I believe it's actually gridded, isn't it? I think the bridge is got a grid surface, so it'd be very difficult to ride. Well, a number of years ago, Phil, great many years ago, my wife and I were tandeming up through Michigan, and when we got to the Straits, we took the ferry over to Mackinac Island, and then from Mackinac over to the Upper Peninsula. But on the way back, they said that there was for $1, they would haul you and your bike over the bridge. It's probably more now, but it was $1 then, and we had a tandem, so it was $1.
You got your money's worth.
What they didn't say, Phil, was they didn't have to be happy about doing it. So we got there, and they just grumbled all over the place. Oh, well, you're going to have to, and so forth. We got across okay. But, yeah. So, Jim.
Now that we brought the crew, that was going to be my question. Was this kind of a practice for RAM? Going to have your same crew with you, etc.?
Yes. This was basically a dry run for RAM, practicing with 2 vehicles and coordinating shift changes and all that. Well, it's interesting, and this sounds odd saying it. 920 miles is probably not all that similar to RAM, to be honest, because it was very much a sprint. We did the entire thing on 90 minutes of sleep, and I think a grand total of 3 hours off the bike in Traverse City. That's not necessarily how we would want to approach RAM. So by the time we got to the end, I think all of us were very much on fumes, rider and crew. But it was a good experience to kind of understand what RAM is ultimately going to take. It's going to be different than just saying, oh well, it's like doing Lake Michigan 3 times. It's not going to be like that. But it's still valuable to just get those reps in and practice for the big show.
There you go. Hey Georgie, thanks for watching. Did you learn anything that you think is going to be very valuable for RAM with your crew and that kind of stuff? Or
yeah, I mean, if I was on my on the other computer, I would almost share my screen and show the Google document that we had. I mean, our flight plan had to be 15 pages long.
Wow.
In terms of our approach to the record. And we did so many debriefs after that record of just things that we would do differently, knowing what we know now, to really just dial in what our game plan is for bigger and harder things. So the scary thing about RAM is there's really no way to prepare for what that is going to take. But going through other record attempts, other races, qualifiers, what have you, every little bit is going to help you understand what it might take, to be honest. So Lake Michigan was hugely important, I think, for myself as a rider to feel confident that we could pull off RAM, but also for the crew that was the first time for a lot of them doing something that long and knowing what it takes to drive through the night, what it takes to do direct follow for hours on end, what it takes to stay alert, to stay awake, stay motivated. And I think one of the things where all of us actually struggled tremendously was when we got to Traverse City. I mean, I was on fumes. We were, I think, just under 600 miles in, and I couldn't fall asleep.
Wow.
So, I was just in bed. I probably wasted 90 minutes trying to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Then I got 90 minutes sleep. Then the alarm went off. I'm like, well, time to go.
There you go.
Our budgeted 3 hours didn't work out the way we wanted to, but can't wait much longer to get back on the road. So,
did you learn anything about nutrition that you're going to take with you?
Plenty. So we, for the most part, I try to do a liquid diet, and so we had a grid where for every hour we tracked how many calories, how many ounces of water, and then anything beyond that, we tracked that. We tracked, bio breaks. We tracked kit changes. We try to do everything on a schedule that would be similar to what RAM may ultimately look like. So it was basically a giant dress rehearsal where we have just all these new data points that we didn't have before to feel a little bit more comfortable as to how much can I realistically drink, what's my stomach, how's it going to react to that. And we've done races in the past where I mean, and I think most ultracyclists are going to comment on this, where they just get GI issues. So we wanted to just figure out what our game plan was going to be, and again, pressure test that system.
Awesome. Lee?
Well, I want to get to Phil's charity because that's close to my heart. My wife has had a suspicion of, I guess, multiple sclerosis for now close on to 45 years, long before I knew her. I call it suspicion because, just let me give a little history here, and Jim and Phil can fill us in. When her symptoms first appeared, there was no way to diagnose it for certain. There was no MRIs, which is still the only definitive way to diagnose it. Fortunately for her, Phil, her symptoms have not progressed much over the years, to the point where she has she's taking no medication. But at the time she was diagnosed, there was no medication. There was nothing. They had to offer except steroids to try to help with the inflammation. And so even though her symptoms have been minimal, she's been keenly interested and has kind of dragged me along into it, to the meetings, to learn a lot about. Now there's many treatments available, some of which are even oral. Some works for some people and others. No cure. Well, I'm getting in your territory. Tell us where you're at, Phil, with this.
Sure. I mean, for those that aren't familiar with multiple sclerosis, I mean, it is a extremely difficult disease, just as Lee mentioned, to diagnose. I mean, the reason I got into Bike MS, the principal fundraising arm for the National MS Society, is because two of my really good friends out of high school, they were diagnosed, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks apart, right after I was coming out of college. And after that, I signed up for Bike MS Tour de Farms, just outside of Chicago. And that was the first time I've ever done a 200K. And that kind of, one thing led to another. So I've been doing Bike MS for over 10 years now. And I guess it's difficult to ascertain like how to help them. And maybe this is the way that I can, the best way that I can. But yeah, just like you mentioned, Lee, it's really difficult to diagnose that. Both of my friends, they struggled with their symptoms for nearly 10 years. During my time with them in high school, and then coming out of college, they would have health issues that they couldn't understand. They would see doctors. Doctors wouldn't be able to diagnose it. There are so many theories, but it's very difficult to definitively diagnose MS. And in the 10 years since then, they've gone through countless numbers of different therapies, different medications, a lot of it experimental. And in many ways, some of those medications are almost as bad as the disease itself. But one thing that is heartening is the fact that, through the National MS Society, I can confidently say that we're closer to not necessarily a cure, but a way to end, this disease and change the course of how people are affected with it than ever before. And that's one of the reasons why this is the principal charity that we and the crew and I all dedicate ourselves to.
Excellent. And I'll bring this back up. Here's we will have a link to the actual website on our show notes, and the QR code will take you there where you can donate for Phil's cause. And the goal is $30,000 this year.
$30,000 this year. When we did the essentially that race around the lake, we were proud to say that we raised $26,000.
Wow!
Awesome. That's amazing.
I think over 200 donations from all over supporting that. And if you can, it's super helpful. Check in with your employers. A lot of a lot of employers who were doing matches, which was really able to drive that number up. But yeah, we were the largest individual fundraiser in the state of Illinois with that record attempt. So
awesome.
Hoping that we can top that with the race across America.
Definitely.
Well, it's really encouraging what has happened there because, like I said, when that was even before I knew her, that she was had the symptoms, onset of symptoms. There was nothing, and now there's multiple treatments. Like you say, some work, but the treatments are getting better all the time, Phil. As we go, we've gone to the meetings regularly to hear from various doctors talk about the various treatments. And
that's why the research is so important.
Yeah.
And that's why the MS Society, does need help, does need assistance to continue fostering that research and driving us a bit closer to that solution.
We have one friend who went from having to go in for an infusion every few days or a week or so. I don't know how often, but it's quite often. Early on, then she went to giving herself shots every day. Now she's on an oral medication. And thankfully, she literally has no more exacerbations. Just to explain this, most people have what's called relapsing and remitting. There's progressive that just keeps on progressing, but great majority have they go along and then all of a sudden they have a relapse. And the goal of these medicines, as you suggest, isn't a cure, is to stretch the relapses out, to reduce them when they happen. And actually, some of the medicines now, we had a meeting with a neurologist not long ago, are actually beginning to reduce the inflammation.
Yep.
And people have had improved brain scans. Like I said, MRI is the way they keep checking this. So it's really exciting what's happened with this disease. And here's a plus, Phil. It's an autoimmune disease. And the other research that's going on with autoimmune is having an impact with multiple sclerosis. And this affects me because I have an autoimmune. Fortunately, mine's not very significant, but it is there, pulmonary sarcoidosis. So there, the whole spectrum of autoimmune disease is being attacked. So we are so excited about what's going on. And I think any coins you can drop on Phil here for this will be much appreciated. And Jim, not everybody has a camera ready to get that QR code.
Right.
So it is
Yes.
OhioRAAMShow.com. And in the show notes, you'll see a link to Phil's account with the National MS Society.
Definitely. And I think they can also find most of that same information on your websites. You want to talk a little bit about those? You got your own website, which is the bread and water. It's your team website, correct?
Yeah, that's our local cycling team here in Chicago, Paniagua. So yeah, that's where a lot of our recaps of different events that myself and other team members have done. Some rather long form, and I'll admit I'm a little behind on recounting Lake Michigan and some of the other recent things we've done, but it's a great resource to kind of see how I've progressed through UltraCycling, and in many ways it's basically notes as to what not to do potentially.
There you go.
So that's the blog, the Paniagua blog. But yeah, to keep track of our approach to RAM and other record attempts that we're going to be going after. The Facebook page is one account, and the Strava page absolutely.
Definitely.
You'll see my training and kind of the march towards the big show.
Excellent. And I think you did have an Instagram that I didn't put on there, but just search for Phil and you'll find him, definitely.
Yeah, it's on the Instagram's on there, and hey, get your comments in there. If you haven't made a comment, at least tell us where you're at, so we can get your name in the hopper for this wonderful T-shirt.
I want to go back to go ahead, Lee.
we don't give these away too often. So
Definitely. They're cherished, valuable
right.
treasures, definitely.
yes,
Yeah.
it's one of a kind almost.
Yeah.
And Jim doesn't even have his yet.
No, what? I'll
You'll
get,
get
one. Hey, wow. That's a bonus.
Yeah, you'll get one soon here.
Gotcha. I want to go back to what we were talking about before. And Red had the question, did you track solute load versus temperature? And I guess that was a limiter for them in 2021.
I mean, that was a huge limiter for a lot of people in 2021. And frankly, that is probably one of the things that, just pardon the language, scares the hell out of me going into RAM. I mean, I'm from the Midwest. Like, there's very little way for me to train at those temperatures and see how the body recovers. So I'll be honest, I need to do more homework on how I'm going to approach that. But I mean, that was absolutely scary seeing what happened to the field.
Oh, I know, it was amazing, wasn't it? It was just terrible.
And credit to Mark. I mean, I know he had to take an IV, and he was, out of the picture for not an insubstantial amount of time, and then clawed all the way back to be in the lead position for the majority of the race still until the very end. So I mean, if that happens to Mark with all of the experience he has, I got to cross my fingers and toes that the conditions will be a little bit more favorable for us next year.
Yes. Hopefully that won't happen again. I think that was the hottest we've ever seen since I've been doing it, wasn't it, Lee?
Yeah, but you know what Shoot Pillinger keeps telling us? They say every year is unprecedented until the next year. And with climate change happening, it seems like it's getting hotter and hotter out there in the desert, which I think we need to really keep an eye on. I don't know what this is all going to mean, but this is where we're at now.
Yeah. Got a real quick question about your equipment. I see a little toy sitting behind you there on your left, I think it is, from you. Couple of them back there, huh?
Yeah, I'm the N+1 is getting pretty high in the household here.
There you go. And I know you're also a brand ambassador for what seats?
Infinity bike seats.
Definitely.
That seat's got a lot of holes in it, Jim.
Oh, it's the most comfortable seat. I've got one here that I've ever ridden. When I've been doing some indoor training, I don't have to stand up to relieve pressure. I mean, I can ride and ride and ride. It's amazing.
Someday
I know Georgie's in the comments here.
Yes.
Both he and I are brand ambassadors for Infinity. And I'll admit, like, once you convert to Infinity, you're not converting back.
Definitely.
And I think this is probably a shared experience for most cyclists. One of the first things I did was RAAM.
Yes.
The 7-day ride across Iowa 10 plus years ago. Yeah. And good Lord, by day 5, 6, and 7, just
miserable, wasn't it?
How gingerly you're sitting on that saddle, and you're like, you know what? 7 days. 7 days is the limit to what I can do.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't know. People look at the Infinity saddle and they're curious, and then they're like, oh, that looks like a torture device. But I mean, you take it from me, it's like sitting in a hammock.
Exactly.
It's the best way. It's the best way to put it.
Make sure you use the promo code FOX Phil here when you go to their website and order you one. I think they're having a sale on till like November 15th right now. Yeah.
So if you want to get your holiday shopping done, if you have an off-season bike coming in the way, do that by November 15. It's going to be the most. It's the best sale of the year for Infinity bike seats. So.
And I think Dr. Vince, they also do custom colors, etc. on the seats, don't they?
They do.
Yes.
So I think they have camouflage. They have different colors. You can get titanium rails. There's a number of different things they can do, and each one of those saddles are hand built by an artisan. So it's very much personalized to
if you have camouflage, you wouldn't be able to see it at all, would you?
Yeah. Here you go. Awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's getting late here.
Here's Georgie back here in a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, Georgie, that is a great question. And frankly, every time I talk to someone that's finished RAAM or crewed for RAAM, I always ask them about the heat, what they do. And I think Andy Christensen, I want to say he was the first finisher from Denmark, living in the States. I couldn't tell if he was joking or not, but he said, just ask your partner to, hold a hair dryer to you when you're on Zwift, and that should
wow.
be a pretty. That should get you used to the heat. I couldn't tell if he was joking or not.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things I'm going to do. I'm lucky enough to live in an apartment building with a gym facility, including a sauna. So I think in the week leading up to RAAM, I'm just going to have to take a book down there and get used to 30, 40, 50, and just work through being operational and I guess conscious in a room that hot. That's one way that I'm planning on doing it. And then I'm probably going to have to go to Borrego and just work remotely for the week before RAAM. Just hang out there and give it a couple days to get acclimated. And frankly, I don't know what other strategy you can have besides hopefully this shiv behind me.
There you go, exactly.
To help me just power through the first 36 hours and get through the hottest part of the race course in that first night. Yeah. So the more you could pile through, and just maybe you have to go into a hole a little bit. I think that is the time to operate at a deficit, just to get that out of the way and continue on the course and just build that buffer. So I don't know how realistic that is, but that right now is how we have it penciled in.
Yeah. Well, you had mentioned RAAGBRAI, and we just did RAAGBRAI this year, and the first 3 days, 105, 110, it was stupid. So I feel the pain.
I don't understand why they do RAAGBRAI in the middle of July.
There you go.
I don't get it. There's no trees. There's no shade.
Exactly.
It's the hottest time of the year. Good Lord. And just the humidity in Iowa. Here's a pro tip. If you're camping at RAAGBRAI, always get to town and figure out where the pool is. Set up your tent next to the pool, shower at the pool, wash your kit in the shower, and then ideally, if you finish early enough in time, you could still have the sun to help you dry that, or else it is so humid that your clothes will absolutely never dry in RAAGBRAI. But highly recommended for those in the Midwest or others that have never done it. That's a bucket list ride.
Definitely.
Well, Phil, thank you so much for being with us here. We've got a little business to take care of, Jim.
Definitely.
And we'll have you around till this. By the way, when we go off the air, don't run off. We'll talk to you a little bit. But
thank you for having me.
We've got
always an honor, Phil. Always an honor.
It's our honor. We're gonna give away one of these, not this T-shirt, but one like this. Got this nice little OhioRAAM Show logo here on the front. Nothing no gaudy stuff on the back. You don't need to be embarrassed. In fact, you can cover that up if you want to. Hold your hand over it or something so people can't see it. But I think let's go ahead and run it. I mean, people have had plenty enough chance to get in here.
All right, here we go. We're drawing. Doug, excellent. Well, I've already got Doug's info, so we don't need to worry about telling him how to send it to us.
We know Doug's address, so
definitely. Congratulations, Doug.
We'll get that T-shirt to you pretty soon here, as soon as our supplier can get it.
Definitely.
Okay, Bill, we want to thank you once again for being with us. And we want to remind everybody that next Sunday, let me find it here.
You got it. I've got it.
Okay.
I didn't want to double click you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead and do it, Jim.
Okay, we double clicked. There we go.
We're going to have the second and third woman in the World Time Trial, 24-hour World Time Trial Championship. I should qualify that. Paige Redmond and Carolyn Hansen. Carolyn was second. She's from Denmark. Paige is from Arizona, I believe. She was third. We've had Christy Tracy on many times, so we thought we would give her a break and not annoy her anymore, and have her on. So with that, Jim,
Yes.
thank you again for all you do. Jim does
Thank you,
so
Lee.
much work in the background. I can't begin to tell you. There's a fair amount that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see or know about. And Jim does a lot of that. And
Command Central right there.
yeah, and yeah, that tells you a little bit about what he does. So with that being said, let's see if we can find Greg Zuber hanging around here somewhere.
All right, I'll let you handle that one.
Yeah, Greg's around here somewhere. If we can wake him up. You didn't go to sleep, did you, Greg?
This is Gregory Zuber, thanking you for watching and sharing.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.